Welcome to my weekly review. Today is Saturday, September 13th. You're looking at a daily chart of the Nasdaq, which has been melting up. We expected September to have a little bit of a pullback, but September is not buying it. And that's the thing with seasonality in the market. Like 4 out of 5 years, the market goes down in September. Well, this is the one year where maybe it doesn't want to do that. So there are no absolutes in the market. And you just take it a day at a time. The Nasdaq did have, since the correction here, whatever you want to call it, bear market correction, the tariff tantrum, it fell 27%. And now since, the Liberation Day, it's rallied exactly 50%, made a new high last week of 22,182 on Friday. So I'll go to the weekly chart since this is a weekly review. So 27% correction here, a 50% bounce. For an index to gain 50%, that's pretty impressive. And it just wants to go higher. Last week it was up 440 points or a little over 2% with the increasing volume here after Labor Day. Maybe some investors or traders have made it back to their office and buying some stock. And I don't really trade indexes, but I just got to acknowledge, the Nasdaq is at an all-time high, and it's nice to have the tailwinds from the market, to help us trade, the leading stocks. And this is the IWM, which also, has been breaking out here, made a high of 240 on Thursday. And I've got to mention the Dow. You got to get your Dow Jones 46,000 hats on because it closed, it traded above 46,000 on September 11th, and then closed above it. Had a little bit of a hiccup on Friday, but still looks pretty good. Just an inside day if you track that index, which I don't. All right, so September, maybe this will be a September to remember for us. Been really strong. And when you see, the index is up like this, you know that these Mag 7 stocks are performing well. This is Tesla. One that we had on our ready list recently, broke above, you could go to a couple of downtrend lines here for Tesla. You had this fake breakout, pull back to the 50, and then bam. Or you could use the standard, if you're just, 367, you're still up on this one. We put this on the ready list last week and it paid off nicely. I'm not going to get into the particulars. I'm just going through these charts. I have a lot to get to today. Microsoft, made that high after earnings and then sold off, but it's just consolidating in a base. It undercut its 50. Now it's trying to rally back through. Definitely one to watch. Apple with their announcement of their, new products or whatever, just kind of, wallowing around, but it was up nearly 2% on Friday. And so, Meta was up. So this, when the markets are up, these Mag 7 stocks tend to perform well. Google, same. Since they got their favorable decision from Judge Meta, this thing's just been surfing its 5 EMA like Kelly Slater. So very strong names. I guess I can't, cover the Mag 7 without covering NVIDIA, right? And this one was up on Friday. There was that news recently about the BABA chip or whatever, and it got a little bit of a pullback here, but up nearly 7% last week. So anyway, that's it for the Mag 7. I want to get to last week's earnings, then go through some themes, some groups, and then close with some IPO stocks that have caught my eye. A lot of them, actually, which could be a sign, right? Oracle reported last week. The market liked it. It was up 25% for the week. It rallied hard here this on September 10th, and a 36% move for Oracle, but pulled back, and you can see the 5 here trying to catch up as it pulled back the last couple of sessions. They had a 300 million, allegedly 300 million contract with OpenAI. And like I said, I'm not going to get into the particulars today because there's a lot of news out there that are driving the stocks, but just, that's a move not to be ignored, one to watch. Rubric, the other side of the earnings events, this one sliced its 200 on Friday after a pretty decent earnings report. The problem is they're still losing money, and stocks are going to do this. Growth stocks are going to do this. They're going to pull back to their 200. All stocks are going to do this. It made a big move, what, 47 to 103, consolidated in a base. Now a little trip to the 200. And I say the lower it goes, it's more attractive for me. Synopsis, they laid an egg too. Yeah, they got real nice haircut here of 35% on Wednesday. So yeah, earnings matter. And if you miss, man, you get punished. This is Oxford, the Tommy Bahama, Johnny Was. And this has been in a clear downtrend. Retail's been real tough. And we had some pretty negative retail data coming last week. So the sentiment's pretty negative here for retail, and it's been a pretty tough space. And I could go through all the losers, but I don't want to because I don't want to get negative. Adobe finally with an earnings report that was rewarded, or maybe not. It was up on Thursday, and they reported Thursday and was up Friday flat. So you could see it's in a clear downtrend though. Is AI, I guess, is eating into their share. All right. That's it for earnings. I'm going to move on, and I have to go through the leading groups now. And yeah, I got to start with gold. I'm sorry. I don't think I've ever seen a bull market like this with gold stocks leading. It's kind of strange. The metals, and gold and silver. I saw silver was at $42 last week, which is crazy. This is SSR mining. And it's just been on a heater here, just surfing the five, and all of these gold stocks have been big winners throughout the year. KGC, I mean, just surfing the five. AGI, this is the one that I had bought, and it's doing nothing wrong. It's just grinding higher. These aren't, like these aren't big fast movers, like ALAB and Reddit or CoreWeave. These are kind of slower movers, but they're just grinding higher. This is PAAS. AU, and I could go through the comparison chart, just put any one of these, stocks in there, and you could see how much these things have been moving. And in the past year, these things are all just been delivering the goods. So yeah, I don't know if you own gold stocks or not, but they have been delivering. So WPM, all of them, just I don't know what to tell you. If you don't own gold stocks, you can see how they've been delivering. No, I mean, all of them. It's not just one or two. I mean, it's just like shooting fish in a barrel. Like DRD up 160% in the last year. OR has been a big winner, 100% this year. So anyway, I could do this all day. There's a lot of winners in the gold space, and I'm not going to do it. I think I made my point. The next group that's been super strong. The energy group, GEV, just consolidating in a base. I was a big dummy. I've been holding this one. It rallied up, from the breakout from 447, rallied up to 677, just consolidating in a base here, undercut the 50. So for me, it's like, yeah, I don't know how low it's going to go or how long it's going to last. But now it's a rallied back above its 50. And you can see that 5 EMA has rallied back through the other moving averages. Now they're stacked here, 5, 21, and 50. I think this thing's ready to go. And I'm kind of biased because, I own the stock, but it's had its consolidation period here. And if we take a look at the weekly chart, this is a weekly review. You can see this consolidation here. It's only been, what, 6 weeks? It seems like forever. The reason why is because Bloom Energy, this is one that I missed because I'm thinking, oh, GEV is a leader. You got to own GEV. And why that's consolidating, Bloom Energy is just ripping. It broke out of a base back in July. What was it? July 24th. A nice 23% move. And that's why I say you don't ignore these gaps higher. And earnings gaps higher. July 24th, it was what, $30, and now it closed Friday at 67. On Friday, it did pull back to its 5 EMA and bounce, closed at 100% of the daily range. So that's a nice bounce. Let's take a look at that on the 5-minute chart. Sold off in the morning, just buyers all day long, close at the high. Yeah, that might be the only chance you get. Is it pulling back to the five because it's been surfing the five since that breakout of on July 24th. So that's definitely one to watch and get into. The institutions are obviously, buying this. How do I know? Well, because these institutional footprints, they can't hide. They want that stock. All right, Oklo, another big winner in this group. It broke above a downtrend line last week. Did I put it on my ready list? No. But the last 2 days, Thursday and Friday, certainly have a nice move. And for the week, it was up like 18.5%. Still consolidating with the base. I like it above last week's high. I think it was $83 around there. Yeah, 83. And I even like it more above 85.35. It could make that new high. Blue skies, right? So definitely another one that I'm watching. And LE is the last one I'm going to cover in this group. I kind of think this is looking like a double bottom base to me. Not that it matters, not that it matters at all. A pattern is just a pattern, but it undercut the 50 and now has rallied back through. A little inside day on Friday. I know a couple of my friends bought this one as it rallied back through the 50 because that's their style. I don't own this one, but I like it a lot. It's been a big winner here in 2025. Moving right along, I can't go too far without acknowledging the move in these quantum stocks, IONQ. Clean breakout from that, we'll just call it the 49 level, the 49er. Go Niners. Nice breakout here on Friday, 18%. Once again, a move not to be ignored. Probably the start, of a bigger move going forward. Let's see what that looks like on the weekly. Man, that's a nice clean breakout. 15 weeks of consolidating in a base. So IONQ, yeah, don't ignore that. The other one, of course, in the group is Rigetti. I have been watching this one because it's just been, like the old Darvish traders, right? Just, consolidating in this little box. And Friday it broke out of the box. What's in the box? Rigetti's in the box, and now it's out of the box. Nice 15% move on Friday. So don't ignore that. Let's look at the weekly here. It doesn't, pattern rec doesn't pick it up, but it's very similar to IONQ. All right. That's it for the quantum stocks. I can't go in any further without mentioning the drugs. The drugs have been on a heater. The old Huey Lewis song, I Want a New Drug. It wasn't about drugs, but definitely a clean break out there from that 1120, area that it's just a big base here. And once it broke above there, it's just surfing the five, man. It won't back down. It was up nearly 10% on Friday. So big move. And there I'd say there's your break for it's not break down. It won't back down, Caleb. So Tom Petty stock right there. ARWR, there's a lot of them. I'm just going to go through these quickly, just showing strength, just acknowledging strength here. INSM, another one. MDGL. Yeah, I like the pullback here. And this one, I like this stock a lot. Halo, another one with, real strong fundamentals here. Sales and earnings growth. You can see, $6 in earnings is $76 stock. This is not expensive. I know people are afraid of drug stocks and biotech because anything can happen, and they don't want to get caught in a downtrend. And I don't blame you, but these are looking very strong, and they've been, wallowing for a long, long, long time. I'm talking the XBI has been down for a long time. This is Monopar Therapeutics. I got to look more into this. Very thin name, but consolidating in a base here. And the last one, oh, I threw this one in because I got FDA approval this week. This is Tempus AI. They got approval and just ramped, breaking out of this base. I want to see what this looks like on the weekly. Yeah, just straight up from the lows here. Wow. That's a big move. And obviously, since Liberation Day, this one's been a big winner. Yeah, 53 not long ago, 91. And we could see since Liberation Day, this one's been what, 45 to nearly a two bagger for Tempest. All right, that's it for the medical. I'm not going to, go through all of the the drug stocks that I like. I've got to get to some of the hardware names, some of the leaders that I like. This is ALAB, and this one is, this got this pattern that we've seen a lot with where it came up off the lows, made like a two bagger, and then flagged for weeks, right? And then what happened? It ripped on earnings and then it flagged again. And then what did it do last week? It was only up 20%. We had this one on our ready list as well. We had a great week on our ready list, but you can see, the institutions love this one. Big, institutional footprints here. And that's a, dead giveaway. They can't hide. Reddit, kind of the same thing where it had on the weekly, I was just pointing out, it's like a cup with handle here. Um, you could look at this a couple ways. And like I say, a pattern is just a pattern, right? But it also had, let me go back to the daily. Yeah, it had this big move, kind of flagged, and then went higher. And we're seeing this a lot recently. I've been pointing these patterns out here. Big move flagged, big move flagged again. And now last week, another big move, 6% move. I'll take that in my portfolio anytime. CLS and CRDO, these two are just knocking it out of the park. CRDO had an earnings report recently, and it's been up like 15%, 2 weeks in a row. So we'll take that right in our portfolio. Yeah, it was up 8%, then 14 something, 15. So talk about a stock that won't back down. That's a Credo. And I did mention CLS. There's a lot of stocks in this group. The electrical contracting manufacturing group, which has been super strong. I prefer this one. And it pulled back here. I've been pointing out at mcstockcharts.com all these flag patterns that have been working. So just because it made a big move up, don't be afraid of it. That's something to run to and not run away from because institutions are buying this stock. Like I said, they can't hide. And as this thing flags and pulls back and allows the moving average to catch up, that actually looks like a short stroke pattern on the weekly where a stock goes up 24% and then on the next week, doesn't give up anything. So I would expect CLS to move higher next week. I'll put that on my ready list for sure. So I got to write that down. CLS. All right, I've got to move on to some of the other winners. Cannot ignore the computer data storage group. This is Seagate. Just talk about a Tom Petty stock not breaking down. This thing, once again, same type of pattern that we've seen where it rallies up. You can call them high tide flag, you can call them whatever you want, pennant patterns, whatever, but it makes a big move, flags or makes forms a pennant for a few weeks and then just rips higher. And then these ones, a lot of these look the same, pure storage, just ripping higher. And WDC, Western Digital, same thing. And then the spinoff from Western Digital, which is really a rocket ship, is SanDisk, up 25% last week. The prior week had a big move too, 30%. So that will always help the portfolio when you get moves like that. All right. So that group is super strong. Another name just some names that I like. Uh, LITE, fiber optics. Now, Market Surge has them ranked as the top group, but performance-wise, they're not the top group. Look at this thing. I mean, come on, man. This thing just wants to go straight up. What is it? 45 to 163. Yeah, that'll help your portfolio. Sienna, they reported recently, might have been last week or the week before. There's the move. 23% move, and that's why we don't ignore it. Went from 110 to 131, just allowing this five to catch up. Very strong move for Sienna. All right, that's it for the hardware names. I got to get to the software. App 11 was announced last Friday. It's going into the S&P 500 finally. And I would just say it's about damn time. You could look at this chart in a couple ways. Obviously, it had this on the daily, this, cup-shaped pattern, a pullback. That's a nice handle. I don't know why it's not a cup with a handle, but a pullback to the 21 and ripped higher. Maybe our friend Mike Webster can identify that. But it's got this cup here, and that's what I just showed you. Just blasting higher, up 19% last week on the announcement of the S&P inclusion. So congrats to the longs at App 11. This is a great software name with, huge growth potential, huge growth profile. Yeah, I'm biased because it's one of my largest positions. So um, anyway, it doesn't matter what I own. All right, NBIS, some more software names. This is one that a lot of people, on Twitter talk about all the time. Made a big move with their announcement from Microsoft. Yeah, 49% move. That's a big move. And then just pulled back. They announced a secondary offering, a big secondary offering, like over 3 billion, which, is substantial for a 22 billion market cap. But it just pulled back, allow the five to catch up. That looks fine to me. And of course, CoreWeave. I talk about this one a lot, a lot, a lot. Almost every day, it had this like double bottom. The IPO, it looked like it was going to be a big ripper, and it was, right? Now it's forming this like double bottom base pattern. So it hit a low of 85, retested a couple of times. It found support there. And so once it has support, it's got to go the other way, right? But right now, for me, I got to see it trade through the 50. If you're from Missouri, you say you got to show me. And this one closed 2.7% below the 50. And it's been rejected there the last 3 days. So if it rallies through the 50, I'm all in. If it gets rejected, it's adios, muchachos for CoreWeave. And the last one, PGY, this is a software financial stock that I just got to point out, made this big move to 41, then just came right back in line. And all it's really doing for a long time here is just surfing its moving averages. I mean, if you're looking at, you're looking at an EKG, like this is like a hiccup, and then whoop, right back and just grind higher. So this one looks good to me. If you go to the weekly, it's got this big gap here from the 80s. So we'll see if it can break out here. And it's got this cup-shaped pattern with yeah, I've got that one for the ready list next week as well. All right, I'm going to move on to some crypto names, data centers that I like. IREN. So I don't know. The thought process is Core Scientific got bought out for what, 9 billion, 9.4 billion from CoreWeave. This thing has what, three times the capacity. So, the logic would say it's a 27 billion market cap, but it's here it is at 6.7 billion. So, a lot of folks would say this is a cheaper play in this space, but I just look at the daily action, and this is the same pattern that we've seen, over and over again that I keep showing that off the liberation lows, it flagged here for a little bit. And then after the flag, it just ripped higher. 1 week it pulled back, and then last week it was up another 30%. Thank you very much. That always looks good in the portfolio. Wolf, the same thing. They had a contract with Google, made this big move. It was like, I don't know, 60% in a day. And what was it, 70 something percent for the week? And then what did it do? It just formed that little flag pattern, right? Once again, you got to salute the flag. And the last week was up 18%. CIFR, same thing. Had this, liberation move, flagged, and then blasted higher from 5 to what, 11 on Friday. So, yeah, two bagger just from the flag. So we'll take that all day long. All right. Enough of that group. The last one I wanted to talk about was, Rocket Lab and the defense. Anything that flies or drones. This one looks like a nice breakout on Friday of 10%. You can see the RS line pointing due north. It's got the blue dot. There's your little base here. Once again, once again, you could use, apply the same thing from Liberation Day, whoop, and then it kind of formed this little, flag or pennant pattern. And now last week broke out 16%. Seeing these things all day long. RCAT, RCAT, this is a software for drone. Just consolidating in a base here. Now it's found support, made a low, retested, retested. So there's your support. And now it's moving on up like George Jefferson. KTOS. I date myself. I can't help it. You can't help when you were born, folks. You could be young once, but you could be immature forever, is my saying. All right. Enjoy life. Here's this is a defense, whatever. This is a aviation type. Like I say, anything that flies or anything to do with drones or flying aircraft in the defense area has been really strong. This one made a big run since Liberation Day, and now it's flagging. It was up 6.5% last week. You can see the RS rating very strong. Moving averages is trending north. This is one that I like a lot. And trades above a downtrending line last week. Thank you very much. So yeah, I like this one. And that one will be on my ready list as well. So I got a lot of stuff here I got a lot of homework this weekend, folks. To select the best of the best. All right. And then my last group, I promise, the construction group, just very strong. Nobody talks about these ones at all. You can see the group is, top 10 group. This is Road, ROAD, Construction Partners. surfing the five, very strong. My favorite in the group is STRL, Sterling Infrastructure, data center build out play. Broke above its downtrend line last week. Now, you can wait for the 321. So, like the Darvish traders would be like, it's got to come out of the box. What's in the box? Well, Sterling's still in the box. Okay, so it's got to break out of there. Quanta Services, same thing. Consolidating in a base, broke above a downtrend line last week. So I think these things, as it rallies through its 50 here, it's got to prove itself, like I say, and build the right side of the base. But I think these, lows that it's hit and it's been consolidating. I think these things are definitely something to eyeball. Anyway, thank you for watching. That's it for me at mcstockcharts.com. We never give up, except for in honor of the great Steve Jobs. I have one more thing. One more thing. And that's the IPO market is in fuego. And to me, this is a sign of greed, like these companies want to take advantage of a strong market. And like we saw in 2021, all these companies come into market. And then what happened? Powell decided to raise rates fastest in history at a bear market. So I don't know. I shouldn't say it's a sign of impending doom, but greed is good until it's not. Here's ones that just came out last week. Klarna Group, Gemini. This is a crypto name that sparked a little bit of a crypto rally on Friday. AIRO, and I'm not going to comment on these. I'm just going to show you all of these IPOs that have come to market, and I'm not getting into even 1/10 of them. There's been a ton of them. A lot of them look like that, right? They do good at first, and then whoop, they got to form a base. CoreWeave, this one's been around a little longer. IPO'd back in March. Same with Circle. This one's been around for a little while, but still, the IPOs, what was this, June? That's not that long ago. eToro, another one of these that came to market and then you're sold right off. Yeah. Carmen, a defense play from, I think it's Long Beach or no, Huntington Beach. Broke out of a base recently, so this has been one of the better performing ones. BLSH, I don't know. Bullish, I guess. Yeah, okay. Or blush. Just opened up and just sold off. All these are coming to market. Fly. I'm not saying buy them at all. I'm just pointing out that there's, a lot of money in these IPO stocks. This is one that I like, HNGE, Hinge Health, and it's just forming a base. Formed the IPO base, ran up, and now it's just consolidating here. That one looks pretty good. And the last one, Voyage. We're taking a voyage, folks. Voyager, aerospace defense, and it's taking a voyage to the bottom of the sea here. All right, thank you for watching at mcstockcharts.com. Have a great weekend and never give up. See you Monday.